It's not like my dad had that. Like his alcoholic dad, who hardly ever worked a job, wasn't coming to him and saying, hey, it's important that you love your family and that you look out for them and you make sure you understand their needs, and that he wasn't saying those things. I can't imagine that he was.
Yeah.
Now maybe I'm wrong and I've been unfair to him. Maybe that's true. There's some of that.
I mean, there's a good chance your dad's dad was doing the best he could, and the best he could was not very good.
The more and more I learn about life, the more and more I rock in that direction, and because there was this 20-year-old in me that was like, man, he screwed my dad. Screw that guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had those thoughts.
Sure.
But that was more defense of my dad than it was knowing a person. I don't know that person. Yeah, I saw him around when I was a kid. He died when I was pretty young. But he very well may have been doing the best he could, and he probably was. Man, that's downright mindful.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
Did we just become best friends? Yep.
We don't make mistakes. We have happy accidents.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
I don't need backups. I'm going to Harvard.
Remember these words. If it doesn't fit, you must acquit.
Do or do not. There is no try.
I still have a dream.
Welcome to Downright Mindful, a meeting place where we explore meaning, seek connections, and examine the relationships between people, events, and the ideas that shape our world. Hosted by me, Matt Paris, my friend and colleague Paul Sawswell, each episode will dive into thoughtful conversations that spark reflection and curiosity. Thanks for joining us. Now let's get right down to it.
Hey, now listen, I know y'all are going to drive the conversations.
Okay.
But I want to start with a question.
Okay.
Okay. So one of you I found out something about, and I don't know if it's true or not, and so we're going to talk about it now.
Oh, God.
One of you I heard may or may not have been in a church choir, a bluegrass band, was a singer.
I know that ain't me.
A choir.
I know that ain't me.
Is that true?
Well, can I tell you a story? So we came from Coffee and Pie, and then we had to use the restroom before we started our podcast. And there was a Christmas song on in November.
That happens.
And there was a guy who started singing in the lobby and took that song all the way into the potty. And it was not me.
Wow.
Yeah. There's your clue. There's your answer. Bluegrass, buddy.
Did you say I could go into one of these side rooms and record?
Yeah, we can do that. We can make you want to make a Christmas album?
Please.
No.
Presents for your family?
Please.
Who sings It's Beginning to Look a Lot Like Christmas? That's not Sinatra, is it?
I said Bing Crosby.
It may be Bing Crosby,
Maybe.
but Bing Crosby has such a distinct, when he sings, what was that song? I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas.
Yeah.
Like, he has a super distinct voice. This was more leaning toward like Sinatra or one of those.
Josh, will you please look that up for him so he'll stop asking about it? I don't know why he didn't look it up himself.
But yeah, I'm not a fan of Christmas music in November, but that was like a classic and done in such a high quality way. It's hard to walk away from that and not have a little bit of it stuck in your head.
I walked away pretty easy, Josh. So therefore, Matt Paris was once in a choir and once in a bluegrass band.
Yeah, man. People ask me all the time. I heard you can sing, and I'm like, well, compared to who? First of all, like that's subjective. Is that the right word?
Well, but
Depends on how we look at
When
it.
people say that, they don't try to compare you to somebody. They just want to know if you can sing or not.
Like compared to someone who can sing horribly, yeah, I can sing a little bit. But compared to like legit, like these people should sing all the time. Then
We
no,
love people because of the way they bring a particular vibe that connects to our soul. It's not how they sound. You know that to be true in your own evaluation of other folks.
Yeah.
There are some people that you love. You love their music and they ain't the best singer.
Yeah, but they're good enough.
Oh, well, there we go. Matt Paris is good enough. Yes, he is.
No, I'm not good enough to do it like professionally or even to put it out to the world. But like, if you need someone to get up and sing some Amazing Grace or something at the Baptist church, I could probably hang in there and hold on a little bit, maybe.
That was a Matt Paris response.
Yeah.
Probably, maybe, hold my own.
Well, it's just part of life for me. Like, that's growing up. Everybody in my family sings.
Yeah.
My dad, now I will say about my dad, and I'm pretty biased of my dad, but he's like, he might have been put on this earth to sing, man. Like, he opens his mouth and just beautiful noises come out. He's one of those people. You don't hear a sour note from that guy. And he's the most humble you've ever seen about it. He's going to argue with you that he can't sing, and maybe that's a little bit where I get it from, but he is one of those people. Both of my sisters sing. My dad had a sister. He still has a sister that, back in her younger days, she probably could have sang for a living. I mean, she was really talented, country type voice, but they did their singing in the Baptist church, man. That's where they did their singing. They didn't really entertain the bars. And this is a family that's raised by an alcoholic. So they typically steered away from the bar scene and things like that. We just got into a whole thing, man.
What? Okay.
I can't.
You're not done, are you?
I don't remember who said that, but someone told me that at Walker Valley. I think it was Walker Valley or somewhere.
Really?
Because they were talking about the podcast. And I'm like, hey, Matt Paris was like a singer in like the band or like choirs and like gospel groups. And I was like, really? Like, I don't know if I wanted to believe it or not believe it. And I was like, you wait, next time we record for the show, I'm going to ask him on air.
Yeah. When I was 17, I joined a bluegrass band. We called ourselves Borderline. And, our big gig was at the Wild Water Steakhouse owned by, is it Richmond Flowers?
Out on Highway 64?
Out on Highway 64. It has since burnt down, but we would go there on Sundays after church and sing to the church crowd, for like 4 hours or something. And that guy would pay us, $300 or $400 to split about 6 different ways. But yeah, that's we did that long enough up until I had met Valerie, and so she would come and sit there, and that was a lot of our time together was her following around my little bluegrass band to little festivals and even churches and restaurant, wherever we could get to. We sung at Apple Valley Orchard one time for like 4 hours. We were making up songs by the end.
Love it.
But yeah, I used to have a good time. And then I stopped doing that when Val and I got pretty serious. She's like me. Her whole family sing. Her dad played the guitar and sang gospel music, and her brother's one of the most talented dudes in town. He's not a trained musician at all. Doesn't read music, but if you hum him a little line of a song, he will play that song like he wrote it. And he sings. It's just her music in her family is very similar to the way it was in mine. So at some point, her brother had a gospel quartet, and they had somebody that was doing something and was going to move on and do something different. So a spot opened up, and I took a spot in that quartet and traveled around to churches here and there and sang in a Southern gospel quartet.
There you go, man. That's awesome. That's exciting. That's cool.
I bet you if you did a little YouTube deep dive, you might be able to find something.
There we go.
I don't think so. Used to maybe, but I don't think
just
anymore.
Try. This week, that's your homework, Josh. See if you can find something.
What was the group called again?
Borderline. Casey doesn't tell you.
Borderline. But yeah, guys, I'm telling you factually, you won't find it with me on YouTube. You might find some of their later stuff, because once I quit that band, they stayed traveling a little bit for a few years at least, I think. So I think some of theirs now, because of the time I was doing it, nobody, this is just a little bit before camera phones and the what was those cameras they came out with? Eventually, they're replaced by a smartphone.
Those little flip video cameras.
Little flip video cameras.
I used them for years for like family stuff.
Yeah, those were
underwater stuff.
Those were coming out, but nobody's carrying those around to the restaurant where we were singing. So.
All right, I can work with this. You ready?
Yeah, man.
So banjo or fiddle?
No context?
Banjo or fiddle? That should be an easy enough question. Come on, man.
Well,
That just got bumped up to the top of my list. So,
are you giving me an option of one and I don't have the other one ever?
banjo or fiddle?
Banjo.
Acoustic or electric?
Acoustic.
Harp or violin?
Oh, man. So, do I get the harp and a player with it, like a real harp player?
Harp or violin?
Oh, God. I want to go with the uniqueness of the harp, because if you've ever heard someone that can really play a harp, it's like an angel came down to earth and started playing music. I mean, that's what it sounds like, but I think I have to go with the versatility of the violin.
Do you know how beautiful that answer was just now? Can you give me more of that, please? You ready?
Yeah.
Vanilla or chocolate?
Chocolate. That's personal. It's an opinion. I'm taking it every time. It's not even a thought in my head.
Mountains or beach?
Mountains. Yeah. That's home to me. It's grass and trees and hills and rocks and all of those things. I don't have to learn a new process of washing my feet off and cleaning my socks out and having sand everywhere. And
You sound like a guy who has only vacationed at the beach and has never fully embraced it as...
I sound like that because I am a guy that's only vacationed at the beach. I mean, you know who you're talking to here.
If sand is inevitable, man, you don't have to clean your feet fully. You just go with it and go barefoot. I'm just saying. It's an option.
No, I hear you.
Coke or Pepsi?
I flip a coin, blindfold me.
Oh, I thought that might be an easy one. Like, you don't know?
I mean, yeah, I don't have a preference, really. I think if we're going diet drinks, I'll take a Diet Pepsi. I'll go Diet Pepsi.
Mellow Yellow or Mountain Dew?
Mountain Dew.
What's the difference?
It's a little more harsh. There's a little more of that bite with that carbonation. Mellow Yellow is quite a bit smoother, I believe, in my opinion. And it's just not my... Now, you know, if I'm looking for that sugary drink and Mellow Yellow is available, by all means, I'll drink it. But if I have an option, I'm probably going to go Mountain Dew.
You're not going to go a Celsius Arctic?
Yeah, I'd probably go for that. Yeah, that's a new one to me, and I'm struggling with it right now, but it's okay.
You like that bite, huh?
Yeah.
Truck or SUV?
Personally, I'm a truck guy. It's very seldom that I have been the driver of a vehicle or the owner of a vehicle, and it's not been a truck. And for most of that time, it's felt pretty useless because it's not like I'm making a living hauling things. But that short period of time that I did not own a truck, I felt like every second I needed a truck. So I went back to a truck. I've never went away from it again.
Yeah. Sweet or sour?
Sweet. That's easy for me.
Every time?
Yeah, every time. I'm a chocolatey guy. Give me we're going to the gas station while my buddy's going to get some Sour Patch Kids or some Warheads or something. I'm going to get some kind of fat boy item like a Little Debbie snack or a fudge round or a Snickers bar or something Reese's. Yeah, I'm a sweet guy.
I get it. So super salad.
Super salad? Is there a third choice?
Soup or salad?
All right, I'm going to go soup. I hope you got a lot of these because this is going fast.
Soup or salad?
It's soup. It's easy. I eat like a 12-year-old. I don't want salad almost in any form. I don't love lettuce at all. If I'm going to eat any lettuce, it better be like a romaine lettuce.
Well, get spinach leaves then.
With some baby spinach. Now, I would do that.
There you go.
Yeah.
Forget the lettuce.
But I'm still going to choose that hearty soup with some beef and some carrots or whatever soup it is. Now, if it's a crazy soup, like if you'd be like, hey, I'm going to give you a spinach and romaine salad or cabbage soup, I'm going with the spinach and romaine salad.
Is chili soup?
Yeah, I think so.
Is it?
Yeah.
Read or watch? Read or watch?
Watch. I have to be honest here.
Every time?
Not every time, but most of the time.
All your life?
No. When I was a kid, I was a reader. I mean, I read all the books in the first grade at Michigan Avenue Elementary. They had to go to other classrooms to get me books to digest. This was just before the birth of accelerated reader. So there was some kind of little reward system in our class, and I was just slapping this, it was 2 or 3 books a day. Now, these aren't novels or chapter books, but I got to that level before first grade was out. I was stealing books from the 4th grade classroom and reading those. Yeah.
So what happened? Because I was about to say, hey, if you were a kid with AR, like, I'm going to read because I can get some points and I'm going to get something that's going to break within 3 days, or I'm going to go on a field trip. And then we've got a lot of our kids, and today, like, they get to middle school, AR is done, and then so they're done reading. So if you didn't have AR, then when did that turn off or turn down for you?
Well, the AR, the first I can remember of AR was I was at Black Fox Elementary by that time. I spent my 5th and 6th grade years there, and that system was developing, and we were using it. I mean, I was competing with people for the top spot in the school at times, and those were there were some pretty big books in there. That's where I fell in love with stuff like Charlotte's Web and Where the Red Fern Grows, which is, in my opinion, one of the greatest love stories ever told. Old Dan and Little Ann.
The Red Fern Grows. Yeah,
it's still one of my favorites.
Old Yeller on that list?
Yeah, but I've watched Old Yeller. I've never read it. I'm sure there's a really good book somewhere.
Of course, yeah.
I've never read it.
Indian in the Cupboard. Can I throw that at you and you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, but I'm not very familiar with it.
Love that book. Then they made a movie and it was just like, it was my first disappointment of, you watch a movie that you read the book of and it just lets you down.
Yeah.
Okay.
Huh. But yeah, I guess, the short answer there is, I got into junior high school and sort of developed some different interests. And, this is a time when, everybody in junior high either wanted to listen to Kurt Cobain or be Kurt Cobain or be something of that type. And just my interests shifted. Maybe some friends changed and they didn't.
Kurt Cobain didn't read? What are you saying?
No, I'm not saying that at all. Maybe during those times as a kid, I didn't spend a lot of time with other kids in a way that would influence me. But by the time I did start doing that, the people I was running around with, they weren't reading books, man. They weren't sitting still long enough to read books.
Yeah. It's curious, though, because, I'm going to buy you some time. Tell me when that flip was switched again later in life. You become a reader again. Because I remember, like in elementary school, you're reading in class.
Yeah, sure.
It's you could have been reading in class in junior high, but we decide not to, right? High school.
Yeah. It's easy for me. It's easy.
This having something to do with your Cleveland State experience, going back to school, or was it before that? Or?
No, it was before that.
Yeah.
It was before that. It started. So I've said before on here, I'm a dad young. I'm married and I have a child about 20 years old. And I am right within that time. I have taken a job at the sheriff's office as a corrections officer. And, just in my thoughts, I would think stuff like, look at, the people in my life. Like, I would have to think about my dad, and he was a good dad. He made sure we had everything we need. We were poor, but we didn't know it. We were that kind of family.
Yep.
We were dinner around the table. Kind of family, church every Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night. We did all that we could do, and Dad was a lot of the entertainment. When a family with 4 kids doesn't have the money to go and do this or that, you have a goofy dad at home. That heals a lot, and that was a big deal.
Singing part of that at all?
Absolutely, man.
Together,
singing's part of that,
or him entertaining,
and just him being a music nerd of that time. Some of my best, earliest memories are listening to everything from like the Kingsman Quartet, Blair. My dad would have speakers everywhere in that house. That's at a time where to listen to music, you had to have a little bit of an education on how to set up a sound system and all these things. And I can remember when Michael Jackson came out with Bad, that album, like that. My dad was into that kind of stuff.
Get out of here.
No,
For real?
yeah, absolutely.
No
man.
way. Your dad's
Absolutely.
singing Michael Jackson.
My dad, my dad's just a music nerd.
Yeah, sure.
Like he just loves music. Now most of that,
Yeah, but you just went from the Kingsmen Quartet
I know.
to Michael Jackson.
I did that to show you how my dad's that guy. I'm that guy. You never know what I'm going to be listening to. Much like you.
Sure.
I think the same about you. We're just nerds in that regard. I have a love for, I think some of the best air to ever flow through a microphone came out of Karen Carpenter. And that's because my dad exposed me to that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And still to this day, if it, the right mood hits me or something, I'm driving down the road, listening to the Carpenters.
Yeah. Sarah would agree. Her dad would agree. Yeah. Heck yeah.
Yeah. I mean, she just opens her mouth and good stuff comes out. But when I become a dad and I'm left with only my thoughts and my family, and what am I going to do? It just starts hitting me like, there's no guide that comes with children. Like you don't get a manual. You know what I mean?
I got one. Josh, did you get one?
Well, I'd like to borrow it if that's okay. I know it's not too late, but it's a little late, but I'd like to borrow that.
Oh, it's kind of late. Your boy's all grown. We're still parenting.
Yeah,
but
that's right.
Yeah,
that's
I
right.
got you.
But I start sort of, just seeing things from adult eyes, maybe is a good description. I start looking at, my dad, he changed his family tree. Okay. My dad is a custodian right now to this day, and I'm proud of him. He goes to work every day. He smiles. He talks to people. It's 2 or 3 times a week. Somebody at Bradley High School or from Bradley High School will come to me and say, "Hey, I talked to your dad the other day." And I'm like, "Yeah, you did," because that's what he does, man. He talks to people in a good way. But I started realizing, I've heard all these stories, but I now have some experience to start pairing these things with things that I'm feeling. I'm a young dad here. I'm facing poverty. Like when you have a child and you're married at 20 with no education, you're nothing but a high school education. You're really towing this line of like, I gotta make some decisions and I gotta make good ones. But I started looking at my dad's life, and my dad quit high school when he was 16, and he went and got a job and bought the first car that his family had ever had. They didn't have a car growing up. He bought that car and would often meet my grandfather, the alcoholic. We hope that he's in heaven, but he's been gone for several years now, a couple decades actually. But he would go and meet him at the bar where the poker machine was, and he would take his paycheck, because if he didn't, he would go and he would spend all of his paycheck on I'm not super familiar with the machine. I imagine it like almost like a video poker or some kind of pinball machine, something like that. So my dad would tell stories and my mom would tell us stories. My dad, first of all, still to this day, my dad's dad is his daddy, and he loves him and he cherishes him and he appreciates him. But to me, when I look at that as someone who cares for my dad, and I look at that with eyes of like, God, this guy got the shaft,
Yeah.
Anyways, I start looking at it from the point of like, okay, no matter how good of a job I feel like my dad has done, I may be missing some stuff as a dad now, and I don't have a manual for this. So I'm going to find some really smart people saying things about fatherhood and about love and about marriage, and I'm going to start reading the words that they've said and hope something good happens.
Yeah.
So that's how I started reading again. A couple books that stand out from that time, even though they're not one of them is not exactly context, but and I've shared this with you before. It's How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie.
Yep.
That's a book written essentially for salesmen, but there's just nuggets of wisdom littered throughout that book, and that's why it's still a standard today in the sales world. And it's mainly just how to talk to people, how to enter a room, how to it taught me that people's name is probably their favorite word on the planet. So it should be a priority of yours to remember their name and say it when it's relevant and as often as you can. But the other one was The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman. Probably saved my marriage, probably saved my life as a young kid, to just get my eyes on somebody who's saying something for my good and not for my detriment.
Let's go ahead and if we're not going to be able to edit this out, we're at the Pie Center, and there's probably some 17-year-old young fella. He is working. That probably isn't some maintenance man at random, because this place has been set up for people to learn some skills.
That's right.
I think that's what we're hearing right now.
I guess so. We're right across from the welding and fabrication shop.
Yes, we are.
So I think somebody told them, hey, when these guys come in, y'all start pounding everything. And no, I'm just kidding. They're doing a great job. A lot of those guys are going to have a welding certification very soon. I think there was some testing going on today to do with that. I talked to some of our CCR kids, and so, kudos to those guys, man. They're going to make a lot of money, and they're going to be skilled tradesmen by the time they leave high school.
Yeah. So I love everything that's going on. Didn't bother me one bit. So hope it didn't
no,
bother
and
you.
I'll get over it. I'm good. It was
we were in a
for
rather
second.
tone of like, hey, let's share some family history. Boom, 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 boom. But hey, we could use the metaphor of working on the anvil, man. Because that's what I'm hearing you describe, that you decided to do some work. Do you remember the discovery of the 5 love languages of Valerie and of you? Do you remember those initial? Because you take a little survey and you figure some stuff out, and you figure out what you want, you figure out what she wants, and then you kind of figure each other out. Do you remember? Do you remember what the 5 love languages are?
I could probably spit out 4.5 of them.
Well, go for it.
Let's see. So quality time.
Yep.
That's my ladies.
Yep.
I can do a lot just by hanging out with her, spending some time with her, talking to her, hearing what she's got to say. Gifts are a love language. Some people like to receive gifts. Acts of service are a big deal. Physical touch is another one. Words of affirmation, is that 5?
That's right.
Okay, yeah. So words of affirmation. I think I've pegged down. Now I never. I was trying to be sneaky about it in my early 20s and just know my lady, and I think I'm right. I think I'm good. It's worked so far. It's helped so far. What I can't nail down is what mine is. If I have one, I don't think I have one, because words of affirmation are a big deal to me. It's if you say something to me like, "Hey, I see you. Like, you're doing a good job. I'm proud of you." Like,
Better than any gift.
I'll go tear down a wall for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Better than a hug.
It's better than a hug. It's better than a gift. But I mentioned this the other day to you. I remember those times with Kyler, even when it wasn't like hug time, hugs and kisses time. It was WWE in the living room time. And
That's
I remember
love.
that
Yeah.
filling my heart with joy and just loving my boy. And now, even now, we're not the big heart-to-heart huggers all the time. Occasionally we'll get a hug, but every time I walk past, he's going to dot my arm. Like, he's going to put a bruise on me, and like, I'm going to hit him back, and we're going to push back and forth. And that's literally us fulfilling that same. It's just like you walking up and hugging one of your boys.
That's right.
But yeah, it's I remember I had a boss at the jail during that. His name's Mike Cooper. He's still around. I like that guy, and he put me on that book. And he don't know. I don't know if I ever told him what it meant to me. It was a big deal to me.
Yeah. So that is a layered conversation. Maybe we'll
Sure.
revisit, but I'll go ahead and throw it out there just to see if we can plant a seed and then return back to it.
Mm-hmm.
So same for Sarah and I. I mean, that really did. It helped us bring a better understanding of each other, but also ourselves. You get a little later in life and get a little deeper into the good work of the inner landscape, and you begin to ask, okay, so if words of affirmation is what I really, and I'll use this word, hunger from Sarah.
Yeah.
See me, please. Almost as if sometimes my insecurities would flare up and I'm begging to be seen. She sees me. She's communicating to me, but there's still this thing within me that isn't ready quite to receive. I'm getting what I need, but I don't receive.
Uh-huh.
Like we're now getting into to some deeper areas of like, where did that come from? What wound is still unhealed, you know? But where do these words of affirmation come from? You peel that layer off. I'd like to have words, but I'd like to have this wound healed, this insecurity addressed.
Mm-hmm.
If it's physical touch, okay, if that's this thing, it can be a healthy desire. It can be an unhealthy desire. And so when you begin to get to those places, I mean, it took some, I've shared before, I've just had a lady come into my life and was willing to do the good hard work with both Sarah and I. And you begin to discover that, oh, okay, this 5 love languages, Gary Chapman meant to bring people together.
Mm-hmm.
But if you begin to start, as I did as a not very smart young married man, hey, I need more words. I need more time. I need more touches. I never asked for more gifts, but
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really ask for more acts of service. But I mean, when you start asking for those things, borderline demanding those things, and usually with the unspoken request, the passive aggressiveness that I was still using as a tool to manipulate because, I grew up in a place where, it was passive aggressive and there was manipulation, and, you carry these things into your marriage as young people, right?
Yeah.
And you got to find a way to navigate those waters to some healthier, stronger place of wholeness and healing. So I said I wouldn't go too far in that, and that's probably where I'm going to pause that, unless you have another thought. But like 5 love languages, man, I'd love to camp out there at some point and revisit that again, especially because it was such a big deal in both of our lives and the timing of it all. It'd probably be a timing conversation as well.
Another big one for me then, I'm having trouble remembering the author right now. How to Raise a Modern Day Knight. Did you ever read that?
Of course I did.
These are 2 books that are, these guys are saying to me like, hey, this isn't a just wake up in the morning and go to bed at night and hope everything goes well kind of world. That's not what this is. This is it's like you say all the time, this is good hard work. This is decisions that you make every day. Those changed my life for sure. Those were a help to me. Those helped me because, again, and the whole reason I brought up the story with my dad and my dad's dad is because it's not like my dad had that. Like his alcoholic dad, who hardly ever worked a job, wasn't coming to him and saying, hey, it's important that you love your family and that you look out for them and then you make sure you understand their needs, and that he wasn't saying those things. I can't imagine that he was.
Yeah.
Now maybe I'm wrong and I've been unfair to him. Maybe that's true. There's some of that.
I mean, there's a good chance your dad's dad was doing the best he could, and the best he could was not very good.
The more and more I learn about life, the more and more I rock in that direction. And because there was this 20-year-old in me that was like, man, he screwed my dad. Screw that guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had those thoughts.
Sure.
But that was more defense of my dad than it was knowing a person. I don't know that person. Yeah, I saw him around when I was a kid. He died when I was pretty young. But he very well may have been doing the best he could, and he probably was. He was one of those guys. I'll hear, some old heads every once in a while have told me like he was one of those guys that nobody ever met him that didn't love him. He's a funny guy. He's entertaining, had a great personality, but just struggled with alcohol, struggled with consistency in his life because of it. And he left all kinds of things in his wake. And, and nobody wakes up in the morning and says, I'm going to be an alcoholic and ruin my family and hurt my son and hurt my daughters. And nobody says that. I get that.
But it still happens.
It still happens. And skip a generation, and here I am following that path, that wake that's left behind by a somewhat break in a family. And by the grace of God, I just said, you know what? I don't have a manual for this. I don't, and I'm not the like go ask my dad kind of guy. I just wasn't that time. I was prideful. But I found the starting point. I didn't find the answers, but sure. I found the starting point in books. And that's where I got it. That's what got me back into reading. Now, I'm not the most well-read, and I'm not the guy who memorizes authors, and I remember things for years. I'm not. But I do enjoy an occasional good read. For a lot of years, it's all self-help. It's
You needed some help.
what do you say when you talk to yourself?
Yeah.
You ever read that?
No.
I couldn't tell you the author right now, but it changed. It showed me how mean I am to me. Like, if you close your eyes for a moment and think of when you've been going through something hard or trying to accomplish something. Now, if you wrote every thought that you're having down, what would that read like? Would it sound like someone who loves you and believes in you and cares for you?
Well, it sounds like every other good guy I know, because that's what good guys and good girls do.
That's right.
They would never talk to someone else the way they talk to themselves. They would never treat someone else the way they treat themselves.
That's right.
Yeah. And we usually only save those outbursts, those outward outbursts, because you're talking about an inner dialogue, for the people in our own home, which usually are our spouse and our children who see those things. And it's probably usually more than just a glimpse. And so I hear you. I mean, you are not alone. Like in the end, and I was mentioning not very well, I wasn't articulating that well, but you had me thinking, and that's a gift in itself of us being together. But just understanding that the way I talk to myself, and it matters. It's actually essential. And if I don't change it, then like this other tensions in all my other relationships that I create, it's starting internally. And I got to do some more good hard work within of going, hey, pause, wait, okay, I'm not going to, this has to change. I take care of other people. I got to take care of myself. And maybe in these last few years, there's been I'm going to go back to raising a modern day night, being intentional.
Yeah.
Like literally being intentional. That's where our 10-year-old adventures came from. That book right there. Partnering with someone else and his boy on those trips came from that book. Sharing experiences, not desiring to go out on some solo trek anymore, but always inviting someone else to come along so that when you do come back to town, you're not just telling people stories and like you get a compliment of how cool that was, but you can actually bring someone back and like share memories with. And it makes all the difference. I love it. Fall or spring?
Spring.
Every time?
Yeah, I get that daylight at the end of the day back, and the promise of warm weather is coming, and I am that guy. This time of year, the fall, that those days seem shorter and darker and grayer, and I don't, I've never been a big diagnosable mental health guy, but I have struggled with seasonal depression, and it's been a lot better in the last few years because of my habits. But yeah, I'm not a fan of cold weather, and I know it's coming right now, and I don't like it. Spring, hopeful, joyful.
I hear you. So we say this so often. I don't know if we really are or not going to come back to things. I mean, both of us have said this. I don't know how many times.
If we talk enough times, we will come back.
Okay, so watch this. Before you went to cold weather, just that gray and that darkness, that blackness of night, of less sunshine. What if we start embracing some of that gray and we start embracing some of that darkness and we start seeing the beauty that is in the darkness and we start seeing that the gray, let's just go to the movie Inside Out. You or me. Disney, ever seen it?
I saw the first one.
Do you remember the point of that movie?
Kind of, yeah.
Sadness has purpose.
There's a lot of emotions in that
Do
movie.
not try to get rid of sadness. Joy tries to get rid of sadness. And in the end, you realize that there's no joy without sadness. And so maybe those seasons serve a purpose, and maybe we don't see it till the second half of life.
Yeah.
You want to sweat or you just want to chill? Sweat or chill?
Are you asking me something to do with temperature or something to do with activity?
Activity. Sweat or chill?
Mostly chill. When pickleball came along, I'm kind of a sweat guy, but I still even when I'm having the most fun I've ever had playing pickleball, I'm looking forward to that. Like, man, I'm gonna chill and just. It's more about my mind than it is my body. It's more,
Yeah. Fried pickles or fried mushrooms?
Neither one, thanks.
Fried pickles or fried mushrooms?
Pickles.
Fried pickles or fried mushrooms, and you're going fried pickles. And so you're going to eat that off my plate. We had this conversation the other day about me taking a fried pickle because I love them so much. So you're going to eat one just to be polite?
Yeah, I'm going to take it and I'm going to douse it in ranch and I'm going to swallow it without chewing.
Why? Just don't eat it.
Okay, then. No, thanks.
I'm pushing you, so I'll get some pushback because you said, I hope you have a lot of these. I have a lot of these.
Okay.
But you haven't begun to push back yet. That was the closest you got. You said neither. And then I asked you again, and then you took a pickle off my plate.
What do I gain by pushback?
Bike or four-wheeler? You want to ride a bike or you want to ride a four-wheeler?
Fun or utility?
You want to ride a bike or you want to ride four-wheeler?
Four-wheeler.
I'm going somewhere with this.
I'm going four-wheeler.
Okay. Every time?
No, not every time, but like a lot. It sounds like a lot of fun.
Oh, you just answered this one. You want a gift or you want a hug?
Oh,
you didn't really answer this one. You just mentioned this one because it went a different direction. Yeah. You want a gift or you want a hug?
Gosh. I need to know what level of gift we're talking about. Are we talking about the kind of things you get in your mailbox at school that's like a...
Oh, my word. No one wants those things, except every once in a while, maybe. Don't give me a small basket of fries for free at the Love's McDonald's. Give me a free, like quarter pounder with cheese.
Yeah, give me like a half day off.
Ooh.
That's the thing.
Half a day?
That's
Can
the thing.
I just get the whole day?
Well, yeah, but that's like...
That means I still got to come in. Oh, my word. You want a gift or a hug?
I'll take a gift.
Take a gift? Okay.
I guess, yeah. I'm not pulled really hard in either direction, to be honest with you.
I mean, it's not like, hey, you want a Ford Ranger or do you want a hug? I mean, you want a gift or a hug from someone who means something from you. Hey, Dad, I got you this. Or you just get a big bear hug from that guy. You know what I'm saying?
It's so uncomfortable for me.
Now I'm getting somewhere.
I don't know, because even with the Ford Ranger, I'm going to be like, all right, who am I hugging?
I already said it's not even a scenario.
And you know I love a Ford Ranger.
I know you do. That's why I use Ford Ranger.
Give me the gift. Yeah, give me the gift. I'm going to stick with it. Unless you're telling me that like my great grandmother can come back and I can give her. No, that's craziness.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. You want a challenge or an invitation?
That's the hardest question I've ever been asked in my life.
I was hoping you'd say that because I love that question I just asked.
I love them both. Like I want both.
Because you know how many times I've been challenged and I thought, you know what? No, this is you should be inviting me into this. You know how many times that simple invitation turned into an actual challenge?
Are we talking like a challenge where someone says, hey, I challenge you to get this done, or like literally I'm neck and neck against someone else trying to accomplish something?
Do you want a challenge or an invitation? I ain't giving you nothing today, man. I'm too strong.
Bro, I need some context with the challenge.
Maybe you activate your imagination and you create.
What if it's a challenge?
Context.
What if it's a challenge that I create?
What if?
Because
you want a challenge?
Because that's me 90% of my life, I feel like.
Hey, is this podcast for you a challenge or an invitation?
It's neither one to me.
What'd you say?
I don't think it's either one.
Say that one more time.
Neither one?
Just hold on to that answer.
A challenge or an invitation? It is... I need context because I am sitting here because Josh Morris came and gave me an invitation.
Heck yeah, we are.
Josh Morris gave me an invitation.
1,000%.
But each day, as we try to create something, it's a challenge to me.
Yes.
And it's something that I continually challenge myself with.
It started with a what?
An invitation.
Gosh, invitations are so powerful.
How long did we want to do this? And Josh
we
showed up.
That's right. And we think challenges are powerful because people talk from stages about it. that one voice walks into that room and gives that one message and challenges everybody. But there's too much distance between that one person and that motivational speech. Yeah. Now, it gets a little bit more personal, but as soon as it gets personal, I think it turns into an invitation. Mm-hmm. And certainly accepting an invitation can turn into some challenge that is so dang hard and so worth it. I love this. This question has about 18 layers.
Yeah, I could talk the whole time about this.
So I'll say Mexican or Italian.
Mexican. Easy.
Easy?
Yeah.
Okay. Walgreens or CVS?
Don't care.
Walgreens or CVS?
I don't care.
So I'm practicing with you. We're getting reps in.
I know, and I want to just pick one to
Walgreens
to
or
move
CVS?
to the next question, but I literally don't know enough about either one of them. I'm probably not going to either one.
Because where are you going? What pharmacy are you using?
Central Drugstore in Prince.
And tell the people why?
Because my lady works there.
That was the best.
And they're good people.
Yet.
And Steve and Renee Medley are awesome. They're great people. Hometown, shop local. Those kind of things.
Well played. Good job. This could be a confession, or it might just be a revelation. I don't know.
Okay.
Tattoo on your chest or on your back?
I don't know. I don't have any tattoos.
Okay.
I've had a long time and plenty of opportunity, and I still don't have one. So.
Well, now you do. Is it on your chest or on your back?
It's on my forearm.
On your chest or on your back?
No, neither. I'm not putting one on my chest or back.
Here, one more time. On your chest or on your back?
Mm-mm.
So proud of you. We're making so much progress.
I know, but I'm just doing this to please you.
College or professional sports? Because some of these, you legitimately, you know.
Gosh, man, it's changing from year to year right now. Because I used to be able to say to you, like, man, I want to watch college football and professional basketball. But I've kind of flip-flopped over the last couple of years back to like NCAA basketball. But I'm still an NBA. Like I still enjoy the NBA. I still enjoy following the storylines of it. Mm-hmm. Because those guys stick around for several years. So you can watch a guy like James Harden go all the way from the young and, the great prospect who's sort of the third name on a team in the middle of the country to where he at one time we're arguing that he's the most dangerous offensive weapon that there's ever been, all the way back to now he's getting older and he's getting broken down a little bit, but he's still calling himself a system. I'm not part of a system. I am the system, he says. I do enjoy that about the NBA.
Hold on, pause. That was a good take. That was a fun take you just did.
Was it?
Yes, that whole storyline of that, rather than just gosh, what a punk he is, how arrogant he is. No, there's some truth in what he just said, but he's still saying it about himself now.
Yeah, but if we go talking about the greatest at what they do in any context, you're going to get some of, it requires a little bit of arrogance. I 100%
agree.
Yeah. That's part of that personality profile. It takes you being able to cut line in drills and get more drills. That starts in elementary and middle school. That kid often gets the most work and gets the most help. Now we're going to outliers with Malcolm Gladwell and the NHL players who are born in January, February, and March.
Yeah. All you Gladwell fans knows what he's talking about. All right, Little League Baseball or Pee Wee football?
Oh, Pee Wee football. It's the greatest game on earth. Everybody can run, but nobody can tackle. It's an offensive showcase. Am I wrong, Josh?
No, I agree with you on that.
You can give the
especially
ball.
when you get those fun clips and the kids all over the place.
Yeah, every play it's one-on-one with the running back and the safety. Like you're getting past the line immediately, unless there's just some super stud over there. But now that's our local football experience. There are places in the country where there's club Pee Wee, actual Pee Wee football, and those are like the best kids from every town. You put them together, and those kids can play and they can tackle.
Yeah.
But I'm still, even though I did during the whole Little League baseball experience, I did develop a whole new appreciation for baseball as one of the. I still think it may not be, if we talk about entertainment value, it may not be in America where college football is right now. But I still think it's one of the best displays of athleticism athleticism and gamesmanship that we have, because while it is a team sport and there's a lot of strategy involved, and the more I learn about it, the more I realize I don't know. You ever talk to like a legit baseball guy and he starts spitting all these numbers at you, and he tells you, oh, in this situation, it's a classic, this, but I don't know what they're talking about, but I do appreciate it. But at some point, you got to put a bat to a ball and race a guy to the base. And I love that about it.
Yeah. I had one dad dream, to be a Little League coach.
Yeah.
And to take as many reps with one of my sons as my dad did with me. Now, when I was growing up, my dad was still playing semi-pro baseball.
Mm-hmm.
So in the summers, he'd hook up with all these college baseball players. And, I mean, eventually he's 38 years old, and he's still throwing against, these college kids that are just trying to keep their career alive, or, just stay in the game or whatever. And, maybe they got another college season, or maybe they'll play some minor league baseball like he did when he was much younger. And I'd be the bat boy. And, so I'm playing. And I mean, our driveway was filled with so many reps.
Yeah.
I got 3 boys, man. My first one, left-handed. You could tell when he's young, he's strong and he's fast. And he didn't play baseball one time, Matt Paris. Caleb played 1 season. Isaac played 0 seasons. And I had so much fun with Caleb. And then he got to the end. And he was like, yeah, that was fun. And done.
Yeah.
So he was loving soccer and he was loving basketball. And we just loved playing in the yard.
Yeah.
That's where all that stuff came from. But, I mean, that was my dad's dream. That Caleb was the only one to fulfill that for me. All right. I really am almost done on my list.
Okay.
There's still one answer you haven't given yet that I'm still waiting to see if you do. And since we're close, it's the only reason why I'm giving you a clue.
Okay.
Bleed or cry?
Bleed or cry? Bleed. You want me to tell you something that's going to shock your socks off?
You can't shock me.
I don't think Valerie Paris has ever seen a tear come from my eye. Does that shock you?
Yes and no.
I'll ask her.
Yes, that shocks me. No, that's not true.
Okay.
It's not true. Next time I see her.
Valerie, you're listening. I know you are, because you've been our number 1 fan so far. Have you? I don't know. If you did, it might have been once.
Do you cry somewhere else?
Not really.
Do you have tear ducts?
I do. If I cry,
Yeah.
and this goes right back to the first of our conversation. If I cry, it is driving down the road by myself.
Listening to a sad song.
No. Sad songs won't touch it.
Oh, no, we've had this conversation. Keep going.
Sad songs won't touch it. But if I'm driving down the road and I listen to a song and gratitude comes over me, thankfulness, happiness, joy, and it's usually in that Southern gospel, maybe all the way into like the Casting Crowns, into that world, like God of All My Days by Casting Crowns. Yeah, you catch me on the right day, listen to that song by myself. Yeah, I will have some tears of joy. They'll be very brief, and then I'm like, yeah, get your crap together. No,
oh my word!
No, I'm just kidding. I embrace that. That's a great feeling. It's overwhelmed with blessings. That's what will bring tears to my eyes. It's
love that.
It's not sadness or fear or pain or anger or none of those things. It used to be anger when I was a kid, a teenager.
Yeah.
If I got really angry, and so, I learned, and I'm still learning, that sadness for me sometimes feels the same. I don't, it took me a long time to realize, like, I don't feel sad.
Yeah.
Because I'm feeling anger. That anger that I think is anger, it's actually sadness. I'm just sad.
That's right.
I've had that moment, and then in pretty recent years. I didn't learn that one early. It took me a while.
Yeah, that's a second half of life discovery for sure. Yeah. 4 more: sunrise or sunset?
Man, I love them both.
What'd you say?
I love them both.
What'd you say?
I love them both.
What'd you say for the first time in this whole entire list?
I said, man, I love them both. That's the first time I've said that in this whole list?
Yes. You said neither twice.
Oh.
And you've picked every single time. You didn't even push back. Except with the fried pickles and mushrooms.
Does that surprise you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you calling me indecisive, Paul?
No. I think you did the thing that you thought I wanted you to do which was just, hey, give me an answer and give me a story, which the first layer of this is absolutely.
Yeah.
But like where this is going, and I think I'm going to go back to the top of my notes right here. Is it possible for guys like us to have a favorite of anything? A favorite? One song, one movie, one memory, one person. I mean, do you feel like when you really like pause and go,
No.
do we really have favorites?
I don't have to pause. I've been asked my whole life since I was a little kid, what's your favorite color?
Huh.
I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And what I'll say now as an adult, are we talking about sweatshirts? Are we talking about paint? Are we talking about car colors? Because
that's my guy. There you are.
I do not have a favorite color.
There you are.
You know, I just don't. And what's your favorite song? Where I'll go with those conversations is give me your top 5. Give me.
Yep.
And we'll even go genres. Hey, we'll go genres. Let's talk pop music of the 90s. Give me like a top 5 set list. And I will never say, give me your top 5 favorite. Just this moment in time when we're having this conversation, what's your top 5?
How many conversations have you been in where people, man, relentless? Pick one. Who's the greatest? We've worn out the GOAT. I just wish I'd never hear that ever again in my life. And I know I'm going to hear it again in the next 48 hours.
Yeah.
But like pick the GOAT. Whether we're talking hoops or we're talking football or we're talking music or it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Presidents, for crying out loud. You know, it's like, this human experience is too full and there's going to be a next. Jordan, the GOAT. And then there was a next. And like, we legitimately have to have a LeBron James conversation. And then, hey, give me another 20 years. And who are we going to be talking about?
And a lot of rules changes and a lot of,
changes the game. And like, but I mean, even still, like this whole idea of favorites. So, Josh, I need a 2-minute timer. 2-minute timer. That's as far as we can go on this one. And we're going to call it a day. Okay?
Okay.
Here's the list again. You ready?
Yeah. Do I have to answer again?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my gosh.
Give me another option.
Give you another option other than the two?
Watch this. You love the banjo? Is that fun?
Yeah.
The fiddle?
Mm-hmm.
And?
The flat top guitar. That's the glue.
You love that harp, don't you? The idea of it?
I love the idea of it.
Yeah. Violin?
Yeah.
And?
Harmonica.
Yes.
Come on.
Yes. You love chocolate.
I do.
Vanilla?
I mean, if it's,
You could say yes to it.
I would eat it.
Yeah. And?
Caramel. Some mixture of chocolate and something else, but like gold medal ribbon at Baskin Robbins. That's my go-to, man. That's, if you haven't tried that, try it.
That was so specific. Yeah. Okay. Mountains, beach, and?
That's a tough one, man.
Let's go somewhere else.
I don't
man.
have.
Come on.
Okay, we got mountains, beach. Can I just get you down into? I don't want to say plains. I don't want just flat ground, but like.
Have you ever been somewhere where you couldn't see anything? Nothing else was obstructing your view. Like when we went to Canada and they described like if your dog runs away, you can watch it for 3 days, and then you get to the prairies and you're like, dang, if Lucy ran away, I could watch her for 3 days. Have you ever been to the prairies?
The closest I've been to what you're talking about is a felon fled the state one time and went to a place and was arrested in Liberal, Kansas. Now there's a national beef plant in Liberal, Kansas. They're killing about 300 head of cattle an hour. Okay.
Where is the story going?
All you can smell is the blood. Okay. But as I was approaching this place, and we're in a police car, and we see lights. We're getting there in the dark. We drove 18 hours, and it's in the dark, and we see the lights of the little small town. And I'm like, oh, thank the Lord, we're almost there. I feel like we drove 2 more hours to those same lights that we were seeing.
Yeah, Kansas.
That's as close as I can get. It was beautiful for a few hours, and I missed the trees and the hills and the rivers and So what I was going to say is, can you just take me to a lake?
Yes.
Yeah.
Is the river different than the lake?
I'll let those live in the same box right now.
Can we go to a pond and just go fish,
Absolutely,
chill, read?
It's one of my favorite places on the earth is on the bank of a pond.
See the sun rise, see the sun set, see the stars come out.
Eat some chocolate ice cream and read a book.
My 2 minutes up?
Yeah, it's been up for a minute.
Okay. Of course it has.
Bro, part of being the timer is you tell us the time.
We were right in the middle of Kansas beef, smell of blood everywhere, and I couldn't stop. Could not.
This is where I want to land this plane.
Yeah.
So much of life seems to offer us or.
Yeah.
And I have discovered, so I want it some more. And I want both. Give me some vanilla and chocolate. And can I do some Neapolitan? Will you throw some strawberry in there? And I want to live the back half of my life going, hey, I appreciate that offer. Is it too much to ask for also this? Like, I think I'm kind of done being that polite guy that just goes, thanks for whatever you've just offered, but I know there's something more. And I'm not willing to ask for it. I don't want to be polite anymore. We've had this conversation on some level.
Yeah.
But I want, because I've discovered there's another one. There's another. I'll even go like, there's Dr. Pepper and there's Mr. Pibb. I like them both. Have you ever cracked open a Dr. Thunder?
Absolutely. Come on, man.
Put it on ice?
Yeah.
Come on, man. I mean, it is. There's this subtle other taste. There's some and out there. And I want to go. And I want to share that with other people. And so if you're going to make me or anything, hey, it may be an easy one. But, I may want them both. And I may want more. And so that and both is a much bigger concept. But today I left it at fun and fluffy at one point. But then there were other times where you went to some places today. And I do appreciate that because there's a story embedded in or.
Sure.
And I think there's even more story waiting for us to discover in the and. So I'm going to leave it at that. And that's all I got.
Man, that's downright mindful. You've been listening to Downright Mindful with your hosts, Matt Paris and Paul Salzville. Produced by Josh Morris. Intro and outro production by Derek Kinsey. You can find us wherever fine podcasts are downloaded. Thanks for listening.
I love it.
Ooh, that sounded good.
I love it.
Oh yeah, you're so loud.
Too hot. Too hot. Too hot, baby. Here we go.
Yeah,
Woo!
Yeah, okay, good. Thanks. Don't change a thing.
Hey, should I be up on this microphone or you want me to sit back? It's pretty hot. Yes. Check one. And this is, what's it called? Cardioid? Is this like straight out in front of my mouth?
How's that?
Check one.
Hello?
Check one.
Hello?
Can you hear yourself?
Check.
Yeah, he's better. How am I? Is that loud? Is that louder than normal?
I see you unplugging all the other condenser mics. That's a smart move. So if this thing is pulling sound, it's pulling it from your and Paul's alone?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Hey, you know what, Josh?
What?
I went and took some of that raw and toyed with it.
Yeah.
And if I de-reverb the vocals before I apply any noise reduction, it does something, man. It does something different.
Just changes the process?
Well, I don't know. Like when I de-reverb it, it cuts a lot of noise on Audition. When I hit de-reverb, just a natural
Do that first.
Default de-reverb. When I do that first, I can get into that noise. First of all, it cuts a lot. And then I can get into that noise and be very, not aggressive, just lowering it. And I get less warbles. Like those tunnels where that noise used to be don't show up in our voices. I sound like a nerd right now, don't I?
I always do the de-noise first and then go from there.
Man, audio waves are a whole different art. The more I learn, the less I realize I know.
Now, one thing we can do maybe eventually, I've gone through a training in a couple weeks that uses the system that we used in here.
Yeah.
And then if we wanted to eventually, I could stick you both in those rooms.
Okay.
And then everything's piped in through that. and we can record it together. So there's your sound isolation. They'll take that air out. Because if you go in those rooms and you close the door, like, you can't hear any of this.
Yeah.
Because
I wish we had a switch.
On the walls,
I wish we had a switch where we could cut this air for like 30 minutes or an hour.
It's coming.
Is
at
it?
some point.
So have you talked to Scott about
Scott's
that?
talked to Johnny Moll's involved with that. So
he's fighting these same battles.
They're
like
talking about it because it wasn't supposed
Hey.
to set it like if you saw the original design of the room.
Yeah.
Versus now, it's I don't think it's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, but then there's that like fire code and all kinds of stuff probably to build a building like this you have to deal with.
Maybe, I don't know. I know they were supposed to have a switch, I think, for the air to be on and off or something different.
That's some of the most horrible tasting stuff.
What is that?
I'm gonna drink it. It's a Celsius, Arctic Vibe Celsius. I got it at
Those
Coffee
things
and
are-
Pie.
Those things are gross. I don't like those.
Yeah, they're gross.
You're not helping out. Coffee and Pie. So I'm going to complain too. I thought I was getting Sour Patch Kids. There's an empty box. Oh no, it wasn't empty. There was beef jerky in there. So I walk up to this box and think I'm going to get something, and it's the opposite. Beef jerky.
We're not recording right now, are we?
Yeah, I've been recording for about 4 minutes now.
No, you have not.
Yeah, seriously.
You're not surprised?
Listen, let me tell
Not
you,
surprised.
Hey, but
this Arctic Vibe Celsius that I found at the Coffee and Pie, it is amazing.
amazing.
Best beef
We're
jerky
backtracking.
I've
You
never
can
bought.
Edit whatever you want out of this.
Okay.
Man, that's downright mindful. You've been listening to Downright Mindful with your hosts, Matt Paris and Paul Salzville. Produced by Josh Morris. Intro and outro production by Derek Kinsey. You can find us wherever fine podcasts are downloaded. Thanks for listening.